Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Alright, hopefully we're not going to get too done by wind noise today. It is fairly windy out here. The weather's just horrible today. Woke up this morning, yeah, it's a Saturday, so I woke up pretty late. But I woke up to 31 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not our hot summer temperatures, but it's certainly hot for starting in the morning. For our summer tops, we're probably looking at about another 10-15 degrees in the Celsius scale, probably about 20-30 degrees in the Fahrenheit scale. Yeah, we do get hot in the summer, but it's hot enough that it makes you start thinking about that summer gardening. And Australian gardening is dryland gardening. We get our cool changes, but the change that we're due today, we are due for one. It's going to be a dry change. The temperature's going to drop. We're going to get high damaging winds and no rain. So joy. So figured I'd come out, do a bit of garden work, get things tidied up a bit and start getting ready for that damaging wind to start with, and also those high summer temperatures. So let's have a bow peep and see what's going on out here. So one of the things I've done this morning is I got some more planters ready, some grow bags, some buckets, that sort of thing. Bob's making sure that everything's okay. I'm not going to plant in them at the moment because it's hot, but we are about to get probably about 5-6 days of cooler temperature, as long as they don't change the forecast. So I want to have these ready to go so tomorrow I can drop some new plants that I bought into them. So yeah, much easier to do it now rather than when it gets wet. Over here we have the monstrous rose that grows in my front yard. I keep knocking back, it keeps coming on. As you can see, it's laying down again, so I'm going to have to trim that back because of those high damaging winds. I don't want that thrashing about and destroying actual plants. The rose offcuts I generally throw straight in the green waste bin. I can compost them. I don't have a fine enough shredder to do it, and I'm going to end up with the thorns sitting in the compost. And then when you've got the thorns and the methods of decay in compost, yeah, that's going to be a bad thing for your health if you get pricked by one of those thorns. You're going to introduce bacteria under the skin. Yeah, not a good thing. So yeah, the rose waste just generally goes in the green waste bin for me. So that's looking a bit tidier, leaving flowers on there. They bring the bees in, so that's a good thing for the garden. As you can see, potatoes are suffering at the moment. Yeah, this really up and down temperature is really knocking them about. We get cool wet weather and then we get this hot dry weather and it bounces up and down and really knocks them on the head. But I reckon we'll get a decent harvest out of those ones because I did harvest a bag of these sorbor potatoes and got a pretty good harvest. Days like today where you got a hot dry day, don't stress about your pumpkins, your cucurbits and everything like that having this droop on the leaves. They will do that during the warmer temperatures, and then overnight time they will bounce back up. Just want to make sure that you got plenty of water in the ground for them. As you can see, this one's one of my already mulched beds, so this one is prepared for summer. It's holding moisture fine and will be good. And speaking of the potatoes, you can see the purple potatoes, they're getting to the done point. They have flowered, and after they flower, it's really hard to sort of keep going and keep feeding nutrients back into the soil. As soon as they get a little bit dry, they're going to fall over. So they're very close to harvesting, and we might pull those out maybe this weekend. Again, over on this side, you know, same sort of deal. You know, they're wanting to fold over. They're not wanting to keep going. Any sort of knockback will knock them down. Once you've had that flower on them, they're almost ready to go. If you nurse them through, you get some bigger and more tubers. That's the goal. But yeah, it's really hard to keep them going when you get these seesawing temperatures. The end of the long bed here, I've taken the peas out. They were all drooped over, and we're going to chop up what leafy matter was there. It's a bit brown, so we'll chop it up and that'll go into the compost. Any of the weeds and leftover peas that I pulled out of there, that's going to go out to the chickens, and they're going to enjoy that. With the peas out, you can see our little German pickling cucumbers. They're coming along. They're not setting the world on fire, that's for sure. And also the cucamelon has started to kick back up from the roots. We've got a few volunteers in there, so I'll let the two of these fight it out and see what happens with them. But at the moment, this bed is at what I'm having in it for summer. So I'm all done playing with it. It's time to fertilize it for summer, and then we're going to mulch it up as well. Our fertilizer is a mix of all my organic stuff. Just mix that up by hand, and I'll give that a good sprinkle in, and then we'll move on from there. So there we are, all fertilized up. Seal that fertilizer in place, and this year again I'm using castor mulch or baggers, so I'll put that down over the top of it. And there we are, all mulched up with a dog wandering through it. We've got our rhubarb in amongst there. We've also got the comfrey up at this end, so I've thrown a couple of inches of mulch down on it, and that will get us going. As the plants get a bit bigger, then I'll throw a bit more mulch down. I just don't want to knock them down with mulch this early in the piece. Another thing you want to watch out for in these warm summer conditions is your pests. Are they using your plants to hide it from the temperatures? You can see in here, we have a heap, and I mean a heap, of aphids in there. So obviously we get to the stage where we need to pull this kale out because it's becoming a pest haven. In saying that, I also noticed a moment ago a ladybug crawling around. So they're in there eating the aphids. Just there, a little caterpillar. So yeah, we're starting to get at the stage where these things are more pest than problem. Down here we have another caterpillar eggs. So yeah, we're really starting to get to the stage where we're having problems in here, and it's time to start cleaning these plants up. I'll still leave a couple just as nurse plants for the zucchini that's coming up underneath. Of course, the smartest thing to do on a hot summer's day is hang out in the shade and just smell the plants. Now, time of day is very important for these hot conditions. If you're in hot, humid conditions, you do not want to water at night time. You want to water up in the morning, because if it's a hot, humid condition, then that humidity is going to stay in against the plants. It's going to hold that moisture overnight on the leaves, and that's when you're going to end up with mold issues and that sort of thing. If you're in a dry area, you can water overnight time, that's absolutely fine. The humid condition is you want to water in the morning, where it's going to evaporate up off the plant. Ideally, you don't want to water in the middle of the day, which is where we're at the moment. Unless you get something like this fella here. You can see this tomato is really suffering today. I think its biggest problem is the marigolds that are next to it are competing much better for the moisture that's in the soil than he is. So I will give him a water, even though we are in the middle of the day. Now the trick to doing it is you want to get that water right in at the base, nothing on the leaves. Much like that, and as you'll notice, there's some mulch put on this area now, and so that'll help to hold that moisture in there, and he should make it through and pop back up tonight. Of course, with all the warmer weather coming, the sweet potatoes are starting to go crazy. Starting to tendril out pretty well. So now's the sort of time that I start looking at them and going, okay, what is my next harvest of them? So grab these tendrils. Oh, and they're not quite long enough yet. Almost, but not quite there. So this bucket here, I'll plant some of those tendrils. I'll just ground layer them, put them under the soil, put some soil over the top, give them a water in, and that will be the next crop after the main crop. This is the white sweet potato, and that one seems to be about the most advanced at the moment. So I'm probably about another week, and this one will get ground layered into this bucket, and then we'll do the others as they come along. And I'm finding that is the easiest way to propagate my sweet potato crops. Trying to do it with the glass of water did not really work for me, whereas doing it this way I can keep a plant going and it works wonderful. And next day we have a much cooler day. That dry change was great. Then we ended up getting a wet change come through today. So there's been a bit of moisture out in the garden, which is fantastic. Only thing I've really done out there today is use those pre-organised planters that I had ready, which as I said, I didn't want to play with in the rain. So I've shot out there and just put some fresh plants into those. Now Bob doesn't really care where we're hanging out, as long as he gets a chance to get a pat and sniff around. He's a happy boy, aren't you? Yeah, you happy boy? So yeah, at the moment the forecast is for 4 or 5 days of cooler temperatures. Now hopefully they stick to the forecast and the weatherman doesn't change it yet again. It seems like every time I put plants in the ground lately, they change the forecast and we end up getting really hot days again. But yeah, I've used those pre-planted planters from yesterday. They got plenty of moisture from the rain. I'll put some plants out there during the day today, and yeah, it's still blowing a gale out there, but so I couldn't really film out there. But yeah, I've put those plants in there. They're tucked in underneath the tree. They're going to get a chance to harden off there, and should be all good to go. All right, thank you very much everyone for watching, and bye for now.